In 2011, Pixar still had some ideas for sequels of their films, like Cars 2. In this one, Lightning McQueen accepted to go in the World Grand Prix, and all his friends are joining in to help McQueen out. However, during the trip, British spies named Finn McMissile and Holly Shiftwell have mistaken Mater for an American spy because if people are cars, this is how the rest of the world sees America. So they assign Mater on their top secret mission, and now Mater has to try to balance out to save the world and be there for his friend. The idea of Cars 2 all started when John Lasseter was doing a promotional tour for the first Cars. Not only did the European landmarks amaze him, but he also thought to himself, what would Mater do in this situation? Honestly, that better not be a question he would ask himself all the time when it comes to Europe.
Why is everybody wearing them funny costumes? Is it trick-or-treating time already? Shoot, I gotta get myself one of them mustachy masks.
So now that they got Mater around the world, where did the spy idea come from? Well, it started out as a deleted scene in the first movie where McQueen takes Sally on a date to watch a movie, which was a spy movie starring Finn McMissile. Even if that scene wasn't in the movie, it was stuck on John's head for a long time, and he knew that he needed to incorporate that to the second movie. Originally, there were supposed to be 5 races from around the world. It wasn't just Tokyo, Porto Corsa, and London, but Paris and Germany as well. As production went on, they find that the plot is getting a little too long, so they decided to take out the entire German scene and rewrite the Paris scene. Like I mentioned before, on September 26, 2008, Paul Newman, the voice of Doc Hudson in the first movie, sadly passed away of cancer. So to show respect to the guy, they decided to take him out of the movie and add this little scene.
Wow, I can't believe they renamed the Piston Cup after our very own Doc Hudson.
I know Doc said these things were just old cups, but to have someone else win it just didn't feel right, you know?
Well, Doc would have been real proud of you, that's for sure.
Oddly enough though, they only did that for Newman. When George Carlin, the voice of Fillmore, died a few months before Newman due to a heart failure, he was just replaced by Lloyd Sher. When designing Finn McMissile, the animators made him like a Frankenstein of James Bond cars. He has the roof and the doors of a Volvo P1800, the grille and the fenders of a BMW 507, and the rest are from an Aston Martin DB5. The rest, however, were only based on one car, like Francesco's design was based on a modern Formula 1 Grand Prix car, and Professor Z's design is based on a Zundap Jandis, a small German car from the late 50s where even a smart car would look at it and go, what the fridge is that tiny thing? On March 2011, Jake Mandeville Anthony tried to sue Disney and Pixar because he said that they stole his idea that he made in the early 90s, and not only was he looking for damages from them, but he also wanted to stop the release of Cars 2. But of course, a few months later, the judge dismissed the court because, you know, trying to sue a major corporation like Disney always works out in the end. I mean, ask Laurie and Stanley. They tried to do the same thing, and it turned out great! When it was released on June 24th, 2011, it was, oh dear. I thought I'd never see this here. So, the critics did not like this film, saying that even if it does look good, it still doesn't make out for its crappy story. A bad Pixar film? Oh no. No, 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 no.
Could you guys excuse me? I need some fresh air. Okay. I think I'm good now. Anyways,
At the box office, it seemed to shine a better light to it with more than $191 million domestically and almost $560 million worldwide. With the price of being, bad, it also took its toll in terms of awards, meaning it got none. No Oscars, only a Golden Globe nomination and 7 Annie nominations. On a brighter note, on June of 2012, as part of the big expansion of Disney's California Adventure at Disneyland, they made an entire section of Cars called Cars Land, which is an entire recreation of Radiator Springs with 3 attractions. Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, which is like Cars Race Rally in Disneyland Paris, Luigi's Flying Tires, which is an updated version of the classic Flying Saucers ride where it's like a mix of bumper cars and an air hockey table, and the feature presentation, Radiator Springs Races, where you go around Radiator Springs and meet the characters, but then you end up racing with another group of people at top speed. In 2012, Pixar went to a time where they have never entered before. In the past, medieval Scotland to be precise, with Brave. It's the story of Merida, a princess who had to go through all these schoolings by her mom, Queen Eleanor, about how to be a proper princess. But she rather wants to go out horseback riding and doing archery 24/7. In other words, she's this kind of princess.
I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. I want it more than I can tell.
When she takes it a step too far in front of Lord Macintosh, MacGuffin, and Dingwall to show that she's more independent and better than everyone else and she was punished by her mother, she runs away and finds a witch who agrees to help Merida to change her mom's ways. But that backfired when her spell turned the queen's ways by transforming her into a bear. What's worse is that the land they're in loves to do nothing but hunt and kill bears. Now Merida has to find a way to transform her mom back to who she was before the king, the 3 lords, and the rest of the people go bear hunting. It all started in 2004 when Brenda Chapman, who just came to Pixar after moving from DreamWorks, made a draft of the plot along with some info on the characters. When making Merida, Brenda based her on her own daughter while Eleanor was kinda based on herself. Also, the movie was supposed to be set in the wintertime, which meant that there would have been a lot of snow in the movie. On April of 2008, Pixar announced the project as The Bear and the Bow and said that Brenda would be the director of the movie. But as time moved on, things were getting difficult. The executives were getting bored of the movie and were asking for a lot of changes that Brenda didn't want. As the executives were getting more serious and more impatient with her, they drew the line on October of 2010, when Pixar decided to replace her by Mark Andrews. We'll get back to Brenda a little later. Originally, Reese Witherspoon was supposed to voice Merida, but because of her schedule, she couldn't do it. So instead, they got Kelly MacDonald to do the voice. You might remember Kelly Moore as Margaret Schroeder in the series Boardwalk Empire.
He offered no explanation. I'm afraid he's developed a fascination with fire.
Now, obviously, when you first hear the name Lord Macintosh, you know it's a reference to good old Steve Jobs here. Well, unfortunately, on October 5th, 2011, he passed away due to pancreatic cancer. This movie was dedicated to him with a message at the end credits saying, "Dedicated with love and gratitude to Steve Jobs, our partner, mentor, and friend." To make the animation look as spectacular as they can, they had to make 2 new softwares specifically for the film, in which one of them was for Merida's long red locks to move like actual hair. This is the first ever film to use the Dolby Atmos sound system, which replaces the old 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound with 64 speakers from around the room and up to 128 discrete soundtracks. If you guys don't know what I mean, well then I can't really help you there. I'm just here to talk about Pixar, I'm no sound engineer. When it was released on June 22nd, 2012, it turned out to be pretty good. Not as great as the past Pixar films, well, maybe better than Cars 2, but it could still be considered as a success. With the critics, there was a great animation historian who said it best that this may not be Pixar's finest work, but Brave is still an enjoyable fairy tale style film with a more recycled story, likable characters, and beautiful animation from the best in the industry. As for the box office, it ended up getting more than $234 million domestically and almost $529 million worldwide. In terms of awards, it got 2 Annies, a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and an Oscar, beating films like Wreck-It Ralph and leaving everyone like this.
And the Oscar goes to Brave, Mark Andrews and Brenda Chapman.
On November 13th, 2012, when they released the Blu-ray of the movie, they made an animated short based on the movie called The Legend of Mor'du that talks about the history of the villain of the movie, Mor'du. On May 11th, 2013, Merida was announced to be a part of the Disney Princess line, with her coronation held in front of the Cinderella Castle at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, making her the first ever Disney princess made by Pixar and not by Disney themselves. However, there was a huge controversy about it because people were accusing Disney of making a sexist remodeling of Merida, and even Chapman herself thought that it was atrocious and gave Bob Iger a piece of her mind. Also, if you think about it, Merida becoming a Disney princess makes no sense whatsoever because in the movie, isn't Merida trying to get away from the Disney princess lifestyle? I wonder what she was thinking during her coronation.
I'm proud of all that you are and all that I know you'll become. I'm proud of you, my daughter.
Someone shoot an arrow at me now. At this point, you guys might be wondering about Brenda Chapman, since this whole thing came out of her head. What did she think of it? Well, it turned out that she loved it, saying that it was actually very close to what she wanted her movie to be. Around the summer of 2012, she left Pixar and decided to go work as a consultant for a movie in Lucasfilms, and to work on a few books along the way. It's good to see that even after getting ditched by Pixar, she's still up and running.